You might think you know this place. It is often sold to the world as the Paris of the East, a postcard, perfect destination of glittering parliaments and romantic river cruises. But to view Hungary merely as a scenic backdrop for a weekend getaway is to miss the point entirely. What if I told you that the stunning architecture you see is not just decoration, but a desperate, beautiful armor built to hide the scars of 1,000 years of solitude? Hungary is not just a country, it is a linguistic island floating in a sea of Slavic and Germanic nations. A place where the people speak a language related to almost no one else in Europe. It is a land defined by what it has lost as much as what it has built. From the thunder of the Huns' horses to the silence of a beer hall, where clinking glasses is forbidden, this is a nation of contradictions. We are not here to just look at the view. We are here to understand why this small, landlocked nation in the heart of Europe has such a fierce, often defiant soul. Welcome to the deep dive into Hungary. To understand Hungary, you must first understand its loneliness. Look at a map of Central Europe. You see neighbors on all sides. Slovakia to the north, Romania to the east, Serbia to the south, and Austria and Slovenia to the west. Yet, culturally and linguistically, Hungary stands alone. While its neighbors speak Slavic or Romance languages, Hungarian, or Magyar, is an anomaly. It belongs to the Finno-Ugric language family, with distant roots in the Ural Mountains and the Altai region of Central Asia. This isn't just a piece of trivia. It defines the national psyche. When a Hungarian speaks, they are using a logic entirely different from the rest of the continent. It is an agglutinative language, building meaning by attaching endless suffixes to words, much like Turkish. In fact, if you listen closely, you hear the echoes of the East. Words like alma for apple or kapu for gate are strikingly similar to their Turkic counterparts. This linguistic isolation fosters a sense of uniqueness, but also a defensive pride. Historians trace the origins of the Hungarian people back to the nomadic Hun tribes of Central Eurasia. Attila the Hun is not a villain here. He is often regarded as a founding father. Even today, Attila is a common first name. This connection to the East is why, unlike in many other parts of Europe, you will find a surprising warmth toward Turkish people here. Despite the Ottoman Empire ruling this land for 150 years, there is no deep-seated animosity. Instead, there is a recognition of shared ancestry, a memory of the steppes that predates modern borders. But this history of migration and conquest has left Hungary with a border that feels fluid and tragic. The country you see today covers about 93,000 square kilometers, but the collective memory of the nation covers a much larger area. This is a crucial psychological backdrop. Modern Hungary is a fraction of its historical self. This sense of contraction contributes to a palpable nostalgia that permeates the culture, a feeling that the golden age is in the past, and the present is something to be endured with stoicism. If the countryside is the soul of Hungary, Budapest is its beautiful, deceptive face. It is undeniably one of the most magnificent cities on earth. The Parliament building, rising like a Gothic phantom from the banks of the Danube, is dazzling. But pause for a moment. Why does a country of 10 million people need a parliament building vast enough to govern an empire? Because it was built for one. The architecture of Budapest is a legacy of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, a time when this city was a capital of a superpower. Walking through the streets, you are surrounded by the ghosts of that grandeur. The buildings are masterpieces of the Classical and Art Nouveau eras, projecting power and wealth. But if you look closer, past the renovated facades of the tourist districts, you see the soot and the bullet holes of the 20th century, remnants of World War II and the 1956 revolution against Soviet rule. This duality makes Budapest fascinating. It is a city of ruined bars, abandoned, dilapidated buildings turned into hip nightlife spots. In any other city, these buildings would be demolished or renovated into luxury condos. In Budapest, the decay is embraced, decorated with mismatched furniture and strange art. It is a metaphor for the country itself, finding beauty and life within the ruins of the past. However, the beauty comes with a price. The city is landlocked, yet it feels like a port city because of the mighty Danube splitting Buda and Pest. The summers here can be brutal, with temperatures soaring to 35 degrees Celsius, turning the concrete city into a heat trap. Conversely, winters are biting, dropping to -10, bringing snow that covers the grime in a pristine white sheet. This extreme climate breeds a resilient people. But let's talk about the silence in the pubs. If you enter a traditional Hungarian tavern and order a round of beers, do not, under any circumstances, clink your glasses and say cheers. In 1848, the Hungarians rose up in revolution against the Habsburgs. They were defeated. Legend has it that the Austrian generals celebrated the execution of Hungarian generals by clinking their beer mugs. In protest, Hungarians vowed not to clink beer glasses for 150 years. That time frame technically expired in 1999, but the cultural muscle memory remains. You raise your glass, you make eye contact, but you do not clink. It is a small, daily act of defiance, a reminder that history here is never just history. It is a lived experience. If the beer hall is where Hungarians remember their defeats, the bathhouse is where they wash away their worries. You cannot understand this country without understanding its water. Hungary sits on a geological hotspot. The earth beneath is bubbling with thermal activity. While the Romans laid the first stones, it was the Ottomans who truly embedded the bath culture into the Hungarian lifestyle during their long rule. Today, places like the Széchenyi or Gellérart baths are not just tourist attractions, they are social hubs. In other countries, people meet at cafes or parks. In Hungary, they meet semi-naked in sulfuric water. There is a profound democracy in the thermal baths. In the steam, you cannot tell a CEO from a factory worker. Everyone is stripped of their status symbols, soaking in 38-degree water, playing chess on floating boards, or simply staring into the mist. This is where the Hungarian melancholy finds its therapy. They call it specific Hungarian words, but it translates to a mindset, the ability to dwell on problems without necessarily solving them, to find comfort in shared grumpiness. It is also here, in the healing waters, that you realize the country's greatest natural resource is not oil or gold, but distinct geography. Beyond Budapest, you have Lake Balaton, the Hungarian Sea. Since the country lost its access to the Adriatic coast after World War I, Balaton became the national obsession. It is the largest lake in Central Europe, shallow and warm. Then there is the Hortobágy, the vast Pannonian steppe, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that recalls the nomadic past of the Magyars. These landscapes are protected, cherished, and essential to the national identity. They are the physical reminders that despite being fenced in by borders, the Hungarian spirit belongs to the open plains. Now, let's strip away the romance and look at the engine room. How does modern Hungary function? For a visitor, the first shock is often the currency. Hungary is in the European Union, yet it fiercely holds onto its own money, the forint. This is a political and economic choice, allowing the central bank control over its monetary policy, but it confuses travelers. Here is a practical reality check. Do not exchange money at the airport. The fees are predatory. The difference between the airport rate and the city center rate can be staggering. And be careful with the zeros. The exchange rates are high. At current rates, your dollars or euros turn into thousands of forints, making you feel rich until you see the prices. Hungary's economy is a paradox. It lacks abundant natural resources like oil, though it has some natural gas. Instead, it thrives on industry, chemicals, plastics, aluminum, and car manufacturing. It has positioned itself as the assembly line of Europe. But for the average Hungarian, the economic reality is a tightrope walk. Salaries here are significantly lower than in Germany or Austria, yet the cost of living in Budapest is rising fast. The most shocking figure for any newcomer is the VAT, the value-added tax. Hungary has a world record of 27%. Imagine buying a car, a laptop, or even clothes, and adding nearly a third of the price on top as tax. This high consumption tax is how the government funds its operations while keeping income taxes relatively flat. If you are planning to stay longer than a tourist visa allows, you will encounter the infamous Hungarian bureaucracy. If you rent an apartment, be prepared to pay 3 months' worth of cash up front, 1 month for rent and 2 months as a security deposit. This is a standard that catches many expats off guard. And once you have a place, you must enter the labyrinth of the address card. Within 30 days of arrival, you must register your address with the authorities. Without this small plastic card, you do not exist. You cannot get a phone contract, you cannot open a bank account, and you certainly cannot vote. Though as a foreigner, voting rights are limited anyway. Skipping this step isn't just an inconvenience, it attracts fines. Banking is another quirk. In many countries, banks make money by lending. In Hungary, due to low interest rates, banks survive by nickel and diming you on fees. You might get 2 or 3 free ATM withdrawals a month from your own bank. After that, you pay. Use a generic ATM without a bank logo, you pay dearly. It is a system where cash is still king in rural areas, but digital payments are mandatory in the city. It's a friction that constantly reminds you that you are in a developing economy masquerading as a developed one. The stereotype of the Wild East stops the moment you get behind the wheel of a car. Hungary has some of the strictest traffic laws in Europe. The blood alcohol limit is exactly 0.0%. Not one beer, not a glass of wine with dinner. If you are caught with even a trace of alcohol in your system, the penalties are draconian. Heavy fines and immediate loss of your license. This strictness extends to the streets. Parking in Budapest is a nightmare designed by bureaucrats. The fees are some of the highest in Europe relative to income, and the parking zones are confusing. Traffic wardens are vigilant and merciless. The advice: do not rent a car in Budapest. The public transport network is actually phenomenal. It is a legacy of the socialist era, massive investment in public infrastructure. You have trams, including the yellow tram 2, which offers one of the best scenic rides in the world for the price of a ticket, trolleybuses, and the metro. The Metro Line 1 is the second oldest underground railway in the world, predating the Paris Metro. But here is the catch: the system relies on validation. You cannot just buy a ticket and board. You must punch it or scan it before you enter. Ticket inspectors are everywhere, often wearing armbands, appearing out of nowhere to check your ticket. They are notorious for having zero sympathy for confused tourists. If you haven't validated, you pay a fine on the spot. It is a system based on rules, not intent. This adherence to rules bleeds into social interaction. Hungarians can seem cold initially. The smile is not a default setting here. It is a gift that must be earned. The American style of greeting everyone with a wide grin is viewed with suspicion. Is he mocking me? Is he simple-minded? In Hungary, a handshake is the polite standard. The kiss on the cheek is reserved for close friends and family, and even then, the rules are complex regarding gender. But beneath this stony exterior lies a deep warmth. Once you are invited into a Hungarian home, which is a great honor, the rules change. You must remove your shoes. You must never arrive empty-handed. Flowers, high-quality chocolates, or a bottle of wine are mandatory offerings, and you will be fed until you can barely move. This is where the coconut culture reveals its sweet interior. They are hard to crack, but once you are in, you are family. You cannot discuss Hungary without discussing what is on the plate, and more importantly, the politics of the dinner table. The food is heavy, hearty, and unapologetic. It is fuel for hard winters and hard work. But the soul of the cuisine is paprika. This red powder is more than a spice, it is a national religion. It comes in varieties ranging from sweet to volcanic. You will find it in goulash, which is a soup here, not a stew, in chicken paprikash, and in the fisherman's soup. But there is a modern layer to the food scene, the Turkish influence. Because of the historical ties and recent migration, you will find Turkish grocery stores and kebab shops everywhere in Budapest. For a traveler, this is a comfort. Labels you might recognize, flavors that bridge the gap between East and West. It is a reminder of the country's unique geopolitical position. However, if you are dining with locals, there are two topics you must navigate with extreme caution: politics and sports. Hungarian society is deeply polarized. The current political climate is a complex web of nationalism, EU skepticism, and conservative values. Opinions on the government are fierce and divided. Bringing up the prime minister or the country's relationship with Brussels can instantly suck the air out of the room. The same goes for football. Hungarians are fiercely proud of their sporting history. The golden team of the 1950s, led by Ferenc Puskás, is still revered as if they played yesterday. Current rivalries are intense. The safest bet: ask about the food, the wine, or the history. Despite the economic struggles, Hungary punches above its weight in intellect. This is a country that values education deeply. If you look at the list of Nobel Prize winners, the number of Hungarians or people of Hungarian descent is staggering relative to the population. From vitamin C to the ballpoint pen, from the Rubik's Cube to the theory of the hydrogen bomb, Hungarian minds have shaped the modern world. This emphasis on education makes it a hidden gem for international students. Degrees earned here are recognized across the European Union. Medical and dental schools in Pacis, Debrecen, and Budapest are filled with students from Norway, Germany, and Israel who come for the high standards and lower tuition. Unlike some countries where university admission is a centralized state lottery, here universities set their own entrance exams. It is meritocratic and rigorous. English is widely spoken, especially among the younger generation and in the corporate world. In fact, for many jobs, English is a hard requirement. But do not let that fool you into thinking you can learn the local language easily. Hungarian is notoriously difficult. It has no gender, but it has two forms of conjugation for every verb depending on the object. It is a linguistic Everest. If you learn just a few words, K Sazunum for thank you, Sia for hello, you will see the locals' faces light up. They know their language is impossible, and they appreciate the effort more than you can imagine. Before we conclude, we must address a specific, recurring danger in this beautiful city: the freelance taxi. When you land at the airport or walk out of a nightclub in the 7th district, you will see yellow taxis. They all look the same. They are not. In Hungary, you must only use taxis that have a company name and phone number clearly displayed on the door. There is a predatory class of freelance drivers who prey on the ignorance of visitors. They manipulate the meters, or worse, demand exorbitant fixed prices upon arrival. They circle the tourist hotspots like sharks. The rule is simple: never hail a cab off the street if you can avoid it. Use an app. If you must hail one, check the door. If it just says taxi without a brand logo, let it pass. It is a small detail, but it can save you €100 and a ruined evening. As you walk across the chain bridge at night, watching the lights of the parliament reflect on the dark waters of the Danube, you realize that Hungary is not an easy country. It is not user-friendly in the way that Western Europe often is. The language is a fortress, the bureaucracy is a maze, and the history is a heavy burden. But that is exactly why it captures you. Hungary is a survivor. It survived the Mongols, the Ottomans, the Habsburgs, the Nazis, and the Soviets. It has been carved up, beaten down, and isolated, yet it remains distinct, proud, and undeniably alive. It is a place where the banks might charge you for your own money, but a stranger might invite you in for a feast of stuffed cabbage and homemade Puba-Linka fruit brandy that burns like fire. It is a country of low interest rates but high interest living. The small-town feel of Budapest isn't just about geography, it's about a society where everyone is connected, where memory runs deep, and where survival is a collective art form. So, when you come here, don't just take photos of the buildings. Validate your ticket, watch out for the freelance taxis, and for the love of history, do not clink your beer glass. What surprised you most about the hidden rules of this Central European enigma? Is it the language, the strict driving laws, or the refusal to toast? Let me know in the comments below. If this deep dive gave you a new perspective on the Magyars, share this video with a fellow traveler who prefers the gritty truth over the glossy brochure. Hit that subscribe button and join us next time as we peel back the layers of another misunderstood corner of the world. Safe travels.